people, lazy and evil. For years I've watched y'all allow Donald Trump turn you to crazy people. Where's that freedom eagle when you must need him?
Welcome to 3 Count Commentary. So let's talk about AEW Beach Break from January the 26th, 2022. I submit, dog. I quit. I really do, dog. I'm not taking anything on AEW serious anymore. Nothing. This show proves to me that it's literally only for a small subsection of people, of which I am not a part of. That doesn't mean I won't watch it. Doesn't mean I don't enjoy certain things about it. But it becomes more and more clear every week that AEW does not care about growing its audience. It is an insular club of a certain subsection of people, and either you're in or you're out. You don't have any opportunity to understand what's going on. There's nothing that's ever explained. Things just happen. Everybody's bulletproof until they're not. You know, it seems it's so overwhelming, and every week is so incredibly tiring. This is Dynamite and Raw are legit the only two shows that I watch, and afterwards I ask myself, what the was I doing even watching this? And I didn't even do that this week on Raw. But on a normal Raw week, sometimes I sit down and struggle to say to myself, like, what was I even thinking watching this show? And Dynamite was the same way. This Dynamite made me reconsider watching AEW going forward. Legit. I was legit. And it's not even like it was one thing that occurred. It was just like a collection of stuff. It's like, you know, how you go from littering to complete illegal dumping. You know, like sometimes you see Dorito chip bags and Frito-Lay bags all over the street, and you're like, man, this is kind of trifling, but I mean, it is what it is. People are kind of careless. And that's when you know there's empty diapers and broken strollers in a vacant lot somewhere. You're just like, what the, do people just not care? Like, do you just not care that you got needles in the street? Do you just not care that there's, you know, one shoe here and it got a hole in the bottom of it? You know, there's rats as big as dogs running around here. Do you not care? And that's kind of what it came to with AEW. Like, usually there's some litter in the street for AEW. It's enough stuff for me to mess with and to talk about, and it's really funny. But when it comes to this show, I was just kind of like, bro, this show don't make no sense. It legit does not make any sense. I was... like segment by segment, I kept asking myself, why is this occurring? Why are we talking about this? Why is this happening? And it's just blowing past me. And I'm just like, you know what? It's just not for me. It's just not for me. Now I'm going to watch it for the people that I like, obviously. But the rest of this shit, just get prepared. If you're an AEW fan, get prepared for me to rip this show every week. Because I know you probably think I ripped this show already. But no. No. My respect for this show has diminished quite a bit. Quite a bit. And I didn't have that much to begin with. So we're gonna spare news and notes. I'm not even gonna go through that. We'll go through it later. Let's talk about this ladder match, where apparently everything short of chainsaws and Gatling guns was used in this match. These dudes were fighting out into the crowd. Why? They were just going out into the crowd. Why? You can't win out there, so what are you doing out there? It makes no sense, right? But you can say, oh, it was a wild brawl. It's like, it wasn't a wild brawl. It's two baby faces. And the match was boring for the most part. At least for the first couple of minutes. It was pretty boring. By the end of this thing, it was over 25 minutes. It was over 25 minutes. Of course, everybody wants to talk about the spots, so let's talk about the spots. The superplex off the top of the ladder. That's the one spot that I did like. Because Cody did like the hanging superplex. I thought that was pretty cool. The figure four in the ladder. I thought that was a pretty smart spot. I like that too. I thought he was going to establish a storyline, establish a baseline, do the old hurt the leg so he can't climb the ladder. Nah, we didn't do that. We threw that right out the fucking window. Sammy Guevara did a springboard cutter, let's just call it a cutter, off the top of the ladder, catching Cody Rhodes on the other ladder. It looked tremendous. I will give him that. It's ballsy. And then I saw the clip again. Because, it was spread all over the internet. Everybody talked about how great it was. It was the greatest RKO ever. And then I saw Aubrey Edwards holding the ladder so that it wouldn't fall when Sammy Guevara did it. And I was just kind of like, the referees are helping with the spots. And it's pretty obvious. She was on camera, but of course she wasn't really paying attention to it because she's trying to figure out what is Sammy Guevara doing. You think he's about to do a drop kick or something like that, and he goes and does a cutter. You're like, oh, that's pretty nice. Until you see Aubrey Edwards literally holding the ladder. She's keeping it stable for him. Later in the match, the other referee, as they're dangling overhead, the other referee moves the ladder. And then the commentary team tried to explain it. Oh, he doesn't want them to get hurt. How about they not be in a fucking ladder match? Where it's like, oh, they could cut themselves. It's like, what? So it's better for them to blow out their knees and ankles? Oh, you sliced yourself a little bit because you fell off the ladder. You might cut yourself. But you're almost guaranteed to tear up your damn knees and ankles if you fall off the top of this roof of this building. Does that make sense? No. Why didn't the referee just put a fucking pillow under them and or why didn't he just stand there and catch them himself if he cared so much? This is stupid shit. On top of the match being long as hell. Of course, Sammy Guevara did the Jeff Hardy jump. The ladder didn't break. And he ended up, if he wasn't, what is he, 27 or something like that? He might have actually injured his back. But he's a young dude, so he's probably going to be all right. The crossroads off the ladder, where Sammy Guevara basically just gave his head to Cody. He climbed the ladder up backwards, which of course telegraphed the entire spot, and then leaned backwards for no reason. Just leaned backwards so they can do the crossroads spot. I was just saying, like, man, we're just going through the motions here. This is just a collection of fucking spots. It's just a collection of spots. There was no narrative established in this match at all. It was just shit happening. Shit happening in the match. What kind of crazy stuff can we do? And then get up from 30 seconds later, by the way. It's not like any of this stuff which should have been murder, death, kill. I mean, both of these dudes use finishing moves that are substantially less murderous than the stuff that they were doing in this match to one another. And they were up 10 seconds later. Just nonsense. Fuego del Sol, a babyface, comes out there. Now, they were trying to establish something with Cody attacking the legs. They were trying to. Then you got Fuego del Sol, a babyface, runs down to the ring to stop Cody from smashing Sammy's leg in the ladder. All right. Not exactly my favorite thing in the world, but at least it makes some sense. Fuego del Sol is Sammy Guevara's friend. He's also kind of friends with Cody. All right, cool. But then Fuego del Sol gets in the ring. Why is he in the ring? Then Cody drops him on his head, which is supposed to be a heel Cody spot. Like, he's supposed to be like, oh, Cody, what a dick. He power drives Fuego del Sol. I'm thinking, what was Fuego del Sol bitch ass even doing out there? I'd apologize his bitch ass too. What is he doing out there? Even if it made sense, there's a certain point where, okay, enough's enough. He should have kept his distance and said, Cody, no, don't do it. Or whatever. I'm not even against him being out there to try to stop it. But the lengths that they went to, absolutely ridiculous. And then the final spot, after you did a cutter off the top of the ladder, after you did a swanton off the top of the ladder, the big finish, I hit you in the face with a belt. That's the big finish. I don't get it. I don't get it. This match is stupid, man. This is a stupid match. And I tried. I'm not gonna say I tried to like it. I was about to lie. I didn't try to like it. It's not up to me to be favorable to them. You know, I've been favorable to AEW time and time again. Enough of that horse shit. They actually have to actively do something to impress me. This match it had a lot of masturbatory shit in it, and that's really all this is masturbation. The show. How much jacking can we do? With no rhyme or reason and no nothing. Just it's like, I don't know, man. This stuff was stupid. This is a stupid match. More stupidity. Let's say you didn't think that match was stupid, Mongo, you tripping. That wasn't dumb. All right, that wasn't dumb. Okay. Ricky Starks and Willie Hobbs go out into the tundra to cut a literally 45-second promo. They went out in the cold to cut a promo. And both of them just had, all they had to say was Ricky Starks is going to fight Jay Lethal next week. And Willie Hobbs challenged Dante Martin to a rematch. That's all. There was a little banter between Shivani and Starks, but we could have done that indoors. I don't get it. I don't get this. Why did you have these guys out in the cold just to do this? Couldn't they have done that backstage? I guess you got to have a beach because it's beach break. You got to show the beach, even though it was your dumbass idea to do beach break in the fucking Ohio in the middle of January. You're genius. Oh, Mongo, you just making up stuff. It wasn't that bad. Wardlow beats up two guys who's the best thing on the show, pretty much. Inner Circle. Chris Jericho and Santana Ortiz versus 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. I'm not going to lie to you. I act like I watched this match totally. I don't care about 2.0. I don't give a shit. And I'm not going to pretend that I do. I do like Santana and Ortiz, however. Chris Jericho, I like him less than I did maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But I still do care about what Chris Jericho is doing. They tell the story that Santana and Ortiz don't really, they're not really vibing with Jericho right now. So they kind of avoid tagging him in. And it basically made it a 2-on-3 match. But then they win because of Jericho. Jericho hits the Judas effect on one of those 2.0 guys. Santana hits the power driver. Santana and Ortiz win. Technically the Inner Circle won, but Jericho didn't really do anything. So they did a good job here of establishing Santana and Ortiz as two tough guys, of telling the story that Jericho doesn't really have the full support of the Inner Circle or of Santana and Ortiz. That they're trying to establish themselves without him. You know? That they're fighting his battles and they're just going to go ahead and finish it and be done with it. And they don't even need him to do it. But they did need him to do it, you know? So that's something for them to argue about. It creates conflict for later. Why am I not surprised that Chris Jericho, with his extensive WWE training, actually put together a match which allows us to tell future fucking stories. And a match that made sense. Where all the commentators have to do is remind the audience Santana Ortiz and Chris Jericho are now not getting along. They show the video package of them not getting along. In the match, you see they don't get along. Jericho still helps them win, and they still don't really celebrate with Jericho. So now we got something to talk about next week. And we can forget 2.0 was even there. Good. Good. Thumbs up. Back to back. Good shit. Then, Lance Archer challenges Hangman Page to a Texas death match. Why? Have they ever had a match? No. Have they ever had a match? I mean, maybe they had some kind of mid-card thing a year or so ago or something like that. Why are we jumping to Texas death match already? Because the feud doesn't mean anything. It's just a stopgap. We just got to have Hangman do something. because Lance Archer ended in the top 5 or 10 or 15 or whatever, then why have this match? What is the purpose? You're not building Lance Archer to be a credible contender by having him lose to Hangman Page in a Texas death match. And you're not doing Hangman Page any favors if he loses, which he's not going to lose. So what is the purpose of this match? To just have a gimmick match on the show because we don't have enough people fighting in street fights and no disqualification matches every fucking week? Throw my hands up. Look, I ain't Booker of the Year. I don't know. I just want shit to make sense. You know, I don't think they've done anything that warrants Texas Deathmatch yet. They've had a couple of scraps here and there where they kind of got into it through some hands or whatever. But nothing that takes us to the point where, you know, I want to make you bleed and you're going to die or something like that. I don't think we've gotten that far yet. You know, couldn't they have done a match, Lance Archer versus Hangman Page, and maybe Lance Archer got disqualified after beating the dog shit out of Page and blasting him in the head with a chair or something like that, leaving him leaking, you know, or something like that, maybe 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and then Page is, you know, I got to fight that man, I got to get him. And then we kind of build to the Texas Deathmatch idea. It's like, no. Lance Archer ain't got no credibility, so fuck him. Let's just do Texas Deathmatch. It's the only way people will watch this shit. That's what gimmick matches have become. The only way to get people to watch this shit is if we put more gimmicks on it. Why not put them in a cage? Why not set one of them motherfuckers on fire? Since we're just going to do random gimmick matches, why not do a thumbtacks match? Why not do a body slam challenge? I mean, what the fuck? All of it makes just as much sense as you doing a Texas death match on TV between two people who are barely feuding. They had a couple of crosswords at each other, and they hit each other a few times. Now we got to have a death match? All right. Moving on. Christian Cage is back there talking about the Ass Boys, and so is Matt Hardy. Neither one of them care about the Ass Boys, but they talked about them. Matt Hardy says that Private Party are the number 1 contenders for the tag team championships, and they want their tag team title match on Rampage. I haven't seen Private Party wrestle in weeks. How did they become the number 1 contenders? Did they become the number 1 contenders by the other teams losing, not necessarily by winning? Is that how it happened? Perfectly reasonable way to explain it. Hey, all the other top contenders lost, and Private Party are the only ones left. You know, I see Jurassic Express has been booted to Rampage. Look, I'm not against that, you know, but just to kind of clear this up, because later the Acclaimed challenged Jon Moxley to a match. Not the Acclaimed, the non-rapping one, the gay one from the Acclaimed. That's all. No offense to gay people. That's just how I know them. The rap guy, the gay guy. That's just how I know the Acclaimed. The not rapping one, the gay one, is the one that challenged Jon Moxley to a match. Also on Rampage, you will have Julia Hart, who has literally one eye, from what I saw, is a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. So even though Griff Garrison is talking absolutely truth, like, you probably shouldn't sign up for a match with Jade Cargill. You only got one eye. I can do whatever I want, Griff. You don't tell me what to do. And she signs up to get booted in the face by Jade Cargill. For starters, this Julia Hart, has she ever even had a match? Did she even wrestle? And why is Jade Cargill getting to pick her own opponents? None of this is properly explained. Jade Cargill has the ability to just challenge random people, and she challenged Julia Hart and was able to get away with it. Julia Hart has one eye and no record. It's something a heel would do. A heel would pick the weakest opponent possible. Sure, that makes sense. But it wouldn't make sense that a boss would allow a champion to choose their own opponent. You know, and then be able to choose the weakest opponent possible. I know Impact just did it too, so I can't really say too much about it. But it makes no sense. You know, whatever. So Rampage is basically the three same acts from the previous week wrestling different people. Moxley wrestled last week. Jade wrestled last week. Jurassic Express wrestled last week. All of them did. Now they're all back wrestling different opponents. No Jon Moxley on this show. No Bryan Danielson on this show. We're not building off of the Moxley Danielson thing. We're not building off that at all. Oh, we'll just build up on our Rampage. Fuck you, Danielson, Moxley. Those are two of your biggest stars. Why are they not on this show? This is the show that everybody watches. And everybody knows that. Why are they not being featured on this show? Moving on. So CM Punk comes out there. He cuts a promo on MJF's scarf, saying it's not made of strong material because it's in Long Island. Said it was a Amazon scarf and you can buy a bunch of them. And some old stuff that made no sense and really served no purpose. Said he's tired of talking, sick of hearing MJF talk, and yet they still went and talked for 15 fucking minutes. Probably longer. And what did they talk about? You may be asking. What's their favorite subject? CM Punk in the WWE. That's what they talked about for 15 fucking minutes. That's what they talked about for 15 fucking minutes. Not all of the feuding they've been doing. Not anything between the two of them. But about CM Punk walking out on Cleveland 8 years ago. As if anybody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. Oh, CM Punk was supposed to be in Cleveland, but he no-showed. Well, oh, okay. Thank you for that information. Oh, why do I give a shit? Why is that in this feud? Why is that in this feud? Why is it here? They've been feuding forever. Why is that the central piece of this feud? Oh, CM Punk, he doesn't really care about the fans. He walked out on y'all 8 years ago. I cared. I'm a human being. I had to do what I had to do, and I came back stronger. I'm like, oh, fuck. Are you serious? This is so dumb. Why isn't there anything between the two of them that they can talk about? Why the fuck are they talking about WWE again? Still, I should say. Even if you just want to say, well, you can't ignore it. I can ignore that Cleveland was the city he was supposed to show up to because I didn't fucking know it. So guess what? It wasn't important. It was not important. Fuck the people of Cleveland. It's not the same people that would have been there anyway. So I'm not concerned about which city he no-showed. Guess what? It wasn't just fucking Cleveland because he never came back. So it was Cleveland and whatever other fucking city that was supposed to be on that Raw tour that he didn't show up to. It wasn't just fucking Cleveland. That's why this don't make any fucking sense. Are we going to do this in every fucking city? Or you were supposed to be in Grand Rapids, but you didn't show up because you walked out for the Royal Rumble. I'm apologizing to Grand Rapids, and I'm sorry, but I had to do what I had to do. We gonna do this all around the fucking horn? No! Who the fuck cares? It doesn't make any sense for you to apologize to one city when you walked out on all the fucking cities. What makes Cleveland so fucking special? You was just gonna go to Cleveland, you weren't gonna go anywhere else? Because if you'd have went to Cleveland, you'd had to take your bitch ass to Podunk, Iowa or something like that on Wednesday or something. And then if you didn't go there, you going to stop and apologize to them too? What sense does this make? Why does MJF care? Oh, he just wants to embarrass CM Punk. He's already apologized for this horse shit. It was literally the first thing that he did in August. It's the humiliation ritual I've been talking about, where we just have to keep talking about shit that's dead and gone. The shit makes no sense. Why are we talking about it? Why are we talking about this? MJF was a child when this occurred. He was what, 15? Why does he give a fuck? He wasn't in Cleveland. Why does he care? I don't get this. I don't understand this. Nobody can explain to me why CM Punk gives a fuck about Cleveland. Oh, because he walked out on Cleveland. Well, okay. Sure. Whatever. Mongo, you're just making it up. You're just evil. You're just mean. You're just being mean. The Pinnacle eventually came out there and beat up CM Punk at some point. After all the jibber jabber, they finally decided to beat him up. They beat him up. Wardlow was ordered to powerbomb CM Punk, and he did so. There was a little bit of tension there. There was an opportunity there for Wardlow to, get over. But he did MJF's bidding. So Wardlow, who was the hometown boy, did what he was told, even though the crowd didn't want him to. MJF then sat on CM Punk's chest in Indian fashion, said some more words. Oh yeah, I forgot. They're actually going to wrestle next week. MJF versus CM Punk. Guess where? Chicago. For like the 20th time since CM Punk has come back, they're back in Chicago. Why don't they build a fucking Impact Zone in Chicago or something? I mean, they're in Chicago as about as much as TNA was in Nashville. Just build a fucking arena there. Tony Khan's a billionaire. Build your own AEW shack or something like that, right on the coastline or something. And just invite all your friends to come over. All 20,000, 30,000 people who gives a shit about this show. Do I think the match will actually occur? Some people have said it's going to be a swerve. No. What I think will happen is CM Punk and MJF are going to probably be the first match on the show. They're going to go the full time limit with MJF running away the whole time. Eventually, CM Punk will hit the GTS. The time limit will run out. And he's going to say, I almost had you. I want to fight you again. And MJF's going to say, nope, you couldn't beat me the first time. You can't beat me this time. I'm not fighting you again. And they're going to chase each other like Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote until fucking March. That's what I think is going to happen. But at least I'm going to give Tony Khan some credit. Pretty ballsy decision for him to do the biggest match that he's been building up for months and months. Doing it on TV rather than saving it for pay-per-view. The ballsy decision. But it also says that it's probably a little bit of desperation. Probably felt like he needed to do that. Just like he needed to have a beach break in the middle of fucking January instead of like, I don't know, March, April. Actual spring. When there's not frost on the fucking ground. Alright. Red Velvet defeated by Layla Hirsch. I like Layla Hirsch, but I was pissed by this point. This show had steam coming out of my fucking ears. Layla Hirsch was pulling the tights, so she's a full heel now. She's attacked Red Velvet after the match. Chris Statlander came out there to make the save. I don't care enough about this to have anything negative to say. Malachi Black says that the house, meaning the House of Black, is built on conflict, and the physical manifestation of conflict and violence is Brody King. Brody King said that Pac needs to be humbled for rejecting the house, and like the death, they are inevitable. I still don't like the idea of these two being tag team partners. Don't like the idea of Malachi Black being in a tag team. I don't mind them being tag team partners, rather. I just don't like Malachi Black being in the tag team. Also, Pac's partner will be Penta El Zero Miedo, which makes sense. Death Triangle is still together. All right, so that ought to be a fun match at least. Tony Schiavone is with Britt Baker. Oh my lord. Oh my god. Oh my word. Britt Baker is with Tony Schiavone. Man alive, dog. All right. Let's try to make sense of this thing that she did here. Which I've heard is, Britt Baker is the greatest. She's at the top of the female professional wrestling space, even though her promo made no sense. So let's talk about this. So first she complained that she doesn't get enough mic time. It's been a long time since she got to do an in-ring mic address. I was like, all right, makes sense. Crowd is chanting some other shit. I don't know what they're chanting. I was not paying that close attention, but it seemed like a non sequitur. Like it had nothing to do with anything she was talking about. Then she starts talking about how CM Punk and MJF kept her name in their mouths. She started touting her PWI awards, which are fan voted awards, mark awards. Then it turned into ESPN and she started talking about sports. Cheap heat. All right, I get the cheap heat. That's fine. Then she says that nobody did anything with this division. The division was wide open. She built the division. She's at the top of the division. And she's at the top of the roster. She's the face of AEW and will be the female of the decade. All right. That all could have been shrunk down. But then for some reason it turned into ESPN when she's talking about the guy throwing interceptions and a bunch of inside football shit. I'm like, I don't care about any of this. I get taking your little pot shots at the Cleveland Browns. I get that. But how much of that we going to do, really? Do we have to do so much of that? Couldn't she have cut this same promo by having that one little Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns jab? And that's that. And then she starts talking about, I don't know, something actually important. How about we get somebody else out there to challenge her on the microphone? She was just out there talking. And obviously talking about nothing. Her PWI awards. Huh? Okay. But what frustrated me more about this, look, the promo was scripted garbage. I don't care what she had to say. It was what it was. Of course she's a heel. Of course she's going to say that she's, the best and all this kind of stuff, but why is she being allowed to cut these promos unmolested? Where is her challengers? Where is her feuds? What's going on? She beat Riho. That was 3 weeks ago? And has anybody stepped up to challenge her since? No. I don't get it. I don't get this. This was stupid as far as I'm concerned. It wasn't as dumb as the rest of the fucking show, but it was a narrative mess. I'm the only Baker you can trust or some shit. I'm like, I don't get it. I have to know too much about football in order to understand this. I don't give a fuck about the Cleveland Browns. Even if I watched football, nobody gives a fuck about the Cleveland Browns. If you live outside of Cleveland and you care about the Cleveland Browns, I was about to say something that was very unkind. I was about to say something very unkind about the shit-skinned Browns. But look, let's just be honest. Nobody cares. All right? Nobody cares. And if you're a European, do you really need this much of that NFL shit in your promo? Do you really? Having one cheap heat segment where you boop that one little, because you got to do it if it's as a heel. You got to talk about how Cleveland sucks, the city sucks, the team sucks, whatever. You got to do it. It's what you do when you're a heel in this town. But she went way overboard with it. Because in her boasting, she's not saying anything that she hasn't already said. I'm at the top of the division. I'm at the top of the company. I didn't take anybody's spot. I made my own spot. And it's like, okay, sure. But didn't you say that already? Haven't you been saying that stuff already? She's getting into that Charlotte Flair atmosphere where they just repeat themselves. They just say the same shit over and over and over again. I was flattened by that promo, even though I was told it was one of the greatest promos ever. One of the greatest promos in the history of the business. She's such a good promo. She's so good. I'm like, whatever, man. Whatever. The fans were chanting something. They chanted along DMD. I think they may have booed when she dissed the team. But other than that, they were off doing their own thing. I think they were doing the wave. They were singing songs or some shit. I don't think they were doing anything that actually boosted this storyline. If there is no storyline, but boosted this character moment. And she didn't interact with the crowd, really. Outside of saying her pre-rehearsed disses on the Browns. That was pretty much it. Like when they booed, she was like, oh, she didn't interact with them or anything. She just kind of went on with her speech. She was doing a speech. That's fine. I don't care about people doing speeches. Cody did a speech. Moxley did a speech. Sometimes you do speeches, man. Sometimes that's the business. Sometimes that's more important than, anything else. This wasn't one of those times. This was a time where somebody should have came out there and confronted Britt Baker and, staked their claim to be the top of the division. Where's Thunder Rosa? Wouldn't it have been a great segment? Now, Thunder Rosa's not a great promo. She's not. She talks way too fast and she does this Spanglish stuff. And it would have been a mile a minute, Speedy Gonzalez horse shit. But at least it would have been somebody getting in Britt Baker's face, telling her what for, and to fuck off with all her kayfabe awards. That would have been great. Maybe it would have made the segment a little bit more tolerable. But just having Britt Baker come out there unmolested to talk about the Browns and shit, I'm like, come on, man. Fuck out of here with that. And if you didn't think that was bad, then out comes Nyla Rose to blame Ruby Soho for Nyla not being the TBS champion. Like, maybe blame your shoulders for not getting off the mat. I don't watch Nyla Rose matches, and you already know why. I don't watch Nyla Rose matches, so we're not going to pretend that I do. So then they had the lights out match, lights out unsanctioned match, which exactly as I thought it would be. It was less bloody than I thought it would be, if I have to admit. But this match had the one segment that took place, or two segments that took place, where I literally put my spoon down because I was eating some lentil soup. That's my thing. I make lentils sometimes. And I sat back in my chair and I said, self, what the fuck is going on? Adam Cole goes under the ring. He's pulling on a steel chair. He pulls the steel chair. For some reason, there's some resistance. He yanks Danhausen from underneath the ring. And I just look and I just say to myself, okay, now what? So Danhausen does spooky fingers at Adam Cole. Some people are chanting for Danhausen. Other people are confused because they don't know who that is. And Danhausen stares down Adam Cole for a little bit. And then he walks away. He just walked away. He didn't say anything. He didn't do anything. He just walked away. Bro. Look, man. Look. I know that AEW they get away with a lot of shit. But this was the biggest crock of horse shit yet for a long, long time. So I definitely took a peek. And everybody likes Danhausen. He's a very likable guy. It's funny. He's humorous. Nobody asked the question, what the fuck was he doing under the ring? Nobody asked, why did he interfere in the match and then didn't do anything in the match? Why was this his debut? His debut was from being pulled from under the ring? Like Hornswoggle? That didn't make anybody feel like he was anything important. Because we debuted him in the middle of this match. And then he doesn't touch anybody. He just leaves. I watched as all the wrestling journalists, because all of them are his friends, they're just so happy he got signed. Oh, nobody deserves this more than Danhausen. Oh, it's such a great opportunity for him. He worked so hard. I literally sat here and watched as these people almost declared nuclear war because Big E went from Raw to SmackDown with no explanation. And everybody was like, oh, well, I guess, fuck the brand extension. None of this makes sense. What is he doing here? But when Danhausen, who wasn't even in the fucking company, comes from under the ring to do nothing with people he does not have any situation with, There's no storyline purpose for him to be there. There's no narrative developed from him being there. Oh, Danhausen deserves it. There's no better guy at character work today than Danhausen. Very nice, very evil. I just sat there, I was like, bro, it's like I got thrown into the fucking Twilight Zone. Like, all these critical people, with all the criticisms, that shit just got flown out the fucking window when something obviously stupid just occurred. We're all just supposed to pretend that just be happy for Danhausen. I'm like, fuck happy for Danhausen. I don't care that he got a job. The important thing here, he interfered in this match. What was he doing there? Somebody has to explain it. Commentary didn't explain it. I'm like, just one of those AEW things, man. You got to be in the cult in order to get it. You know, you got to be in the cult in order to get it. I expect somebody to tell me that you probably had to watch Being the Elite or some shit like that in order to understand what occurred here. I shouldn't have to. WWE does not make you recognize shit that happened on Main Event. Hell, you can watch NXT and they'll act like it didn't occur. Because it's all about, and this is, one little news and note. Jimmy Smith, who does commentary for Raw, he said that the best piece of advice Vince McMahon ever gave him is, if you're confused, then the audience is confused. Just be confused and let Corey Graves and Byron Saxton inform you. Therefore, they can also inform the audience. If you're lost, then the audience might be lost. Allow Byron and Corey to guide you. They will tell you what's going on if you don't know what's going on. They'll tell you what's going on. That's what commentary is for. Right? Now, Jimmy Smith shouldn't have told anybody that, because then, he gets lost during his, it makes him seem like he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. But it was very honest, because the experienced guys are going to bring you along. In this particular situation, it was up to commentary to explain to us, even if they had to kayfabe something. Adam Cole and Danhausen have history from some show, from somewhere. I'm pretty sure Excalibur could have came up with something and I wouldn't even recognize it, knowing what the fuck it was. But at least it would have made some sense of him being there. I still would have made the same complaint. And I probably would have just dumped in Excalibur knows too much. But at the same time, he was just there. He was just a guy who appeared. And then we find out Danhausen is all elite. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I don't care about the rest of this match until the end. Orange Cassidy wraps his arms around Adam Cole, if you can even call it that. Adam Cole was too big for him to wrap both of his arms around. So there was enough space in Orange Cassidy's fingers for an infant to slide through. And you've got Adam Cole wiggling back and forth like a worm, just wiggling, trying to get free. And we're supposed to pretend Orange Cassidy's fingers are locked, like he's in the master lock or some shit. Like he's in the hurt lock or something. Like there's big bulging muscles, in a vice around him. It's just Orange Cassidy's skinny ass arms. And his fingers are not even touching each other. His fingers aren't even touching. And he's hugging him. And then they both go off the top of the stage, because Adam Cole couldn't get free. So it was a suicide dive. A true suicide dive. Orange Cassidy falls on top of Adam Cole. Pins him 1, 2, 3. Adam Cole loses, but the loss was in a non-sanctioned match, so it doesn't count. Masturbatory. Nothing matters. If it doesn't matter, it's just masturbatory. You ain't producing shit. So, not even concerned about Cole losing. Because if you follow my channel, I said Cole was going to lose. So I'm not surprised that he lost. I am surprised at how he lost. I'm surprised as fuck that Adam Cole went along with, hey, just put your arms around me. I'm going to wiggle my shoulders and what I call hips, pretending that I can't get away from you. This shit is a parody. All right? I'm sorry. This is a parody of wrestling. This is not wrestling. This is subversive as fuck. Wrestling is supposed to look real. And look, I know we're far beyond the days of kayfabe. Don't get me wrong. I'm not holding AEW to an unfair standard. What I am saying is that sometimes there are things that look so fake that it cannot possibly occur. And it's so obvious to the audience that it's fake that it takes you out of it. Jericho falling on the crash pad when it's clearly a crash pad. So phony, nobody takes it seriously. This situation where Orange Cassidy has his arms around Adam Cole. Orange Cassidy has no muscle definition. He has no muscle mass. He is not strong. He's not a bodybuilder or anything. He's not a human vice. He has his arms around Adam Cole, and Adam Cole wiggled. He squirmed just a little bit. But AEW, they pride themselves on not insulting your intelligence unless you expected coherent storytelling in these matches, or promos for that matter, and for things to make narrative sense. Unless you expected that kind of stuff, I don't get it. You know, there is just so much better ways to do pro wrestling, you know? And this is what AEW is constantly harping on as, this is real pro wrestling. This is real pro wrestling. Come on, bro. I can't think of any real pro wrestling promoter who would have let half the shit that I'm sitting here talking about occur on one of their shows. You know, I certainly know some of them because I actually grew up, you know, well, I shouldn't say grew up watching because they was mostly out of business by the time I grew up. But some of the stuff that I look back on, you know, Crockett, Bill Watts. You think Bill Watts would have been cool with what took place in that ladder match? He just said, like, how the fuck are we supposed to follow that? You did every move in your repertoire off the top of the goddamn cage. How is anybody supposed to follow that? Psychology. It doesn't make sense. We can't follow you doing springboard cutters off the top of the ladder. We can't follow that. And then you getting back up 10 seconds later. You didn't even sell it. We can't follow it. It's just so much stuff that if you'd have said, well, this is real pro wrestling, everybody would have looked at you and said, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't remember any NWA promotion where they spent 15 minutes talking about other promotions. Even if they did chit chat and take cheap shots, and you know, that's part of the business. Cheap shots here and there, and Bill Watts talking shit about the WWF on Mid-South TV. All right, you know, it happens. But I don't remember him taking 10 minutes, 15 minutes to tell everybody about some bullshit that's not even necessary. His top star left the promotion in the middle of the damn night and went to sign with WWF. He spent less time burying the junkyard dog for leaving Mid-South in the middle of the night than CM Punk spent talking about WWE over some shit that happened 8 fucking years ago. Guys have held grudges for a shorter amount of time. Harley Race was going to shoot Hulk Hogan for running in St. Louis and Kansas City because he ran in his backyard. He was costing him money. Cost Harley Race $500,000. But when Harley Race needed money, He got over that shit real quick. He went and worked with Hogan in the WWF. He got over it. Less than 5 years, he got over it. CM Punk still holding a fucking grudge. 10 years later over some bullshit. This is like, Bret Hart level. Maybe that's why everything he's doing is a Bret Hart parody. Because he's starting to look like Bret Hart in WCW. He's starting looking like Joe Montana on the Chiefs. CM Punk is washed. I'm pretty sure most other people are just too blinded by, I don't know, modern nostalgia to see it. He's washed. He's fucking done. What the fuck else has he got to talk about except WWE? Who the fuck knows? When is he going to start talking about his AEW stuff? Start talking about him. Start talking about these other things that he's involved with. I don't know. This is all so silly. This is all so ridiculous. And poor Adam Cole. And not even poor Adam Cole. Because I'm not Jim Cornette. I don't feel bad for Adam Cole. I was done with Adam Cole before he even left WWE. Later stages of his NXT run got on my goddamn nerves so bad. I was glad he left. And I'm only upset that Johnny Gargano didn't show up here. Because now there's a chance he could actually show up in the Royal Rumble. Fuck. I don't want that. Maybe he'll show up on Rampage. What do you think? You think he'll show up on Rampage? I was hoping Johnny Gargano was going to show up in AEW, but he didn't. I don't want to talk about AEW anymore. I really don't. I want to go do something fun. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel. Let me know what you guys think, man. Just give me some feedback. I'm not gonna say the fate of AEW reviews are in your hands. I gotta do Dynamite reviews and Rampage. I got to. It's been forever since WWE had any type of legit alternatives that I can actually watch on a major stage. So I'm gonna go ahead and watch it, but I'm gonna tear this show to shreds from now on. May even start actively nitpicking shit. I may start talking about motherfuckers' eyebrows. I may start talking about motherfuckers' haircuts. I might start talking about motherfuckers' gear. I might start talking about ring announcing. Might start making fun of fans in the crowd. I may do something to make this shit fun for myself. Because apparently the wrestlers and Tony Khan, they don't give a shit to make the wrestling fun. They insist on being an insular fucking club, a fraternity or a sorority of weirdos and blue check marks on Twitter who all they do is circle jerk and pat each other on the shoulder about how good a job everybody's doing. And everybody's kissing everybody's ass. And I'm fucking sick of it. I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick to death of this shit. This shit is too much. It is when a grown motherfucker comes from under the ring with no explanation and is able to just walk off and people are just kind of, and you see openly people with the the Metal Gear Solid exclamation points over their head. Like, what's going on here? What's that? And then you're supposed to just go along with it. Like, just roll with the punches, bro. I'm like, what? Fuck you. Who is that guy? What is he doing here? I don't know, man. Inshallah, I'll talk to you guys next week. Peace out.